Thank you.
All right, good evening, everyone. Oh, sorry, this is actually afternoon because we are broadcasting 4 p.m. in Nigeria today. So it's actually evening if I'm still say or afternoon, anyone, wherever you're watching us from. My name is Ria Frederick. Thanks for joining us on City Report Retrospect 2023. And we are looking at politics generally in 2023. And I have a great man with me. Is Mr. Prescott Frederick Obua is SA to the governor of Bayelsa State on new media, and he's going to be giving us his perspective of 2023, how the year went politically in Nigeria, and other issues that characterize 2023. Good to have you, Mr. Prescott Frederick Obua.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you for having me on the set.
Today is 31st December, the last day of the year.
Yes. Let me say Happy New Year in advance.
Happy, Happy New Year too. So, how has it been like 2023?
Yeah, 2023 has been a very interesting year in Nigeria. From February, presidential, senatorial, to March, where we have to go for governorship, House of Assembly, and the rest. So it has been an interesting year. And most of the things we predicted came to pass. The 2023 elections were special. We saw new things, we tried new things, although at the end of the day, most of our predictions, since some things were not perfected, just like what we predicted before, we are not surprised with what we saw. But I know generally it was an amazing year in politics. A lot of people got opportunity to get into office without stress because of the new system that came in. While some people were not able to make it after a long time serving the country, some of them have been there for more than 10 years. But because of the new system, some people could not make it. And we saw a lot of you being involved in politics. For the very first time, a lot of people came out passionately to exercise their right. It has never been like that before. So it was an amazing year for me.
Wow, 2023 was an amazing year for you in politics and otherwise. And you said a lot of predictions that we made or you made this year came to pass and some did not. So, to be specific, what are those predictions that came to pass this year?
Okay, like during the presidential election, when the youth came out to exercise their rights, a lot of them were banking on beavers. At that time, I was part of the people that were saying, yes, beavers will help, but it will not perfect anything. We predicted, most of them felt we were not serious. They believed beavers was going to be perfect. They believed beavers was just what Nigeria wanted at that moment. But we knew that beavers would help a little, but it will not be perfect. And at the end of the day, you saw what happened. A lot of states, some controversies came up, and we found out that the beavers did not exist. But there are some areas too that some people benefited. As I said, a lot of people came into power without stress, without even spending money, because most of those areas, the beavers worked, and some people took advantage of it. Some areas, the beavers did not give what people were expecting. So at the end of the day, a lot of people were still disappointed that the elections were being rigged, which was one of my predictions that, yes, beavers is good, but we should not bank on beavers because it will not be perfect. Then another one was the presidential candidates. I predicted that Bola Ahmed Tinubu might likely be the winner because of the division between the Atiku and the Obi camp. To me, I felt the more vote Obi gets will reduce the chances of Atiku, because the Southeast and the South will definitely not vote for APC. And since Obi was contesting, the vote from the East and the South went to Obi, which would have benefited Atiku. So those were some of our predictions, that as long as these three horses are on the race, Tinubu will likely be the winner or Atiku will be the winner. And we predicted that either Atiku takes first, Tinubu second, Obi third, or Tinubu first, Atiku second, and Obi third. And that was how the election came out to play.
Wow, that was interesting because there are evidence of your prediction right from 2019 that Tinubu
Yeah.
was going to be the next president of Nigeria. And even before the election, you kept reminding Nigerians, posting those things that just like what you just said now, that if they vote in a certain way, this is what is going to happen. And the only way was to stop that was to go the other article way. But a lot of people felt offended with your predictions and all the rest of them. But the results are out there. But a lot of young people still believe that the election was rigged. Do you have same feeling about that?
Well, for me, I feel the election, when you talk about being rigged, it depending on where it was rigged and how. I believe there are some strongholds that Obi got a lot of support. A lot of things were done in those areas in favor of Obi, which was also rigged in favor of Obi. And there were some areas to where the APC felt they have power to dominate, and they took advantage, which they did rig for their candidate. And there are some areas too that the PDP had influence and power too that I believe they also rigged for their candidate. So in general, the process was not perfect. Everybody took advantage at their strongholds. So if you see some of the original document from the INEC server, you will see that there was a lot of council in the southeast. A lot of council bias, they rewrite result for in favor of Obi. So you cannot say the election is rigged because the candidate did not win. You look at it in the positive way, like you areas you win, were you 100% sure that what you got there was what you voted for? So I believe everybody took advantage of their areas. But why it got to the favor of Tinubu was because the Obi and the Atiku were not together. So the Tinubu cartel were able to utilize that opportunity. But in general, everybody took advantage of their area. So it was rigged in some part of the east, it was rigged in some part of the west, and some part of the north. So I think it's a fair game.
These are facts that a lot of people will never want to agree when you tell them things like this. And we tell you that there is no perfect election anywhere in the world, even in the US.
Yes.
Donald Trump said he was rigged out, a sitting president.
Yes.
And but people will never want to listen to these facts. But how do we make our elections more transparent and more free and fair for people? I'm sure we can't get it 100%.
Yes, we cannot get it 100%, but I believe we can make the process a bit better. The beavers process, at least some people that on a normal they believe they would have never been in a position, they will appreciate it. They will appreciate the beavers process that brought them into power. Some of them did not spend any money, which in those areas the people will be proud of those election process in those areas that would have voted for one. You know, so, but I believe the money people put into politics is too much. The process itself demands a lot. And when you put so much money in anything, even the Bible said, where your money is, there is where your heart is. A man's treasure and his heart goes together. There is no way you put a lot of money into election and you will not want to go beyond imaginations to make sure your money does not waste. So I think the electoral process, the INEC have a lot to do. It's not just about the politicians alone. The INEC have a lot to do. There are laws that guide the electoral act, but I believe they don't follow it. There are some certain amount of money you're not supposed to spend. And now you can see because of this, the way things are going, even our local youth politics, student union politics, people now pay people to vote. Those are positions where they don't even have monthly incomes. They don't even have salaries. They don't even have anything. Those are just normal student unionism that they want to serve freely. Nobody is paying them. But now you have to lodge delegate, you have to pay delegate, you have to do a lot of things. So if you imagine just from the student and so much money just to contest election that you will not receive salary, then you begin to imagine how can you change the political system where after you win there is a lot of benefits. So beyond INEC, beyond the politicians, I think Nigeria politics, there are issues that is beyond human reasoning. There are serious issues. For us to get it right, then we must reduce the level of spending of resources in our politics. That is the only way people will reduce the level of stealing and the level of violence they're going into, because nobody will see himself losing almost all he has worked for over the years. You have to sell your cars, sell your buildings and all these things just to contest for an election, and at the end of the day you are not sure of winning. So people want to go extra mile to make sure that their money does not waste, because they don't know their fate. If they lose the election, if anybody will carry them along. I believe those earlier 1999, when you contest, even if you don't win, there are compensation. At least they try to carry some of those people along, and so many people just contest. And let me just contest so that they will compensate me. So, but now that is like the winner takes all.
Winner takes
If you
all.
see the level of the level of violence has become something else, because nobody wants to go home with nothing. So people are now going beyond imagination. But I believe if we go back to the system where the winner does not take, or the winner has to carry other people along, it will reduce the level of violence and irregularity in the system too.
Wow. So much valid points you just made. A lot of things that if we even have to go into them one by one, it will take us another 1 week to analyze each of them. You talked about winner takes all syndrome. You talked about where a man's treasure is, that where his heart will be, and nobody wants to lose and go home empty. So it makes people go beyond imagination, even at the local level, as in that the most grassroots where student unions and just community unions, people go the extra mile to lodge delegates now just to win election. These are things that we can look upon and how to resolve them. I believe by next year, City Reports will be coming up with some other interviews like this where we look at all these issues ahead of 2027 elections. But we are going into 2024. But before we go, Bayelsa also experienced election, though not part of the general election, but the off-season election, Bayelsa, Kogi, and Imo. How will you rate the election in Bayelsa State?
Okay, the Bayelsa election, I think this was one of the most peaceful elections we've experienced. You know, even during the process, INEC said among the three states that are contesting, Bayelsa so far has exercised the most peaceful process. And I believe it's because of the kind of governor we have. The governor himself is a very peaceful person, and he ensured that people does not go into violence, carrying of guns and all the rest. But we know there are some pocket violence in several places, especially the riverine areas. But so far, I think it was a fair election. The governor actually won the 8th local government in the election. He actually won the 8th local government. But for fairness and just because of he wants peace, that's why he was able to let go two of the local government where the other former governor was from, is from. So which was the Nembe and the Brass, which we already knew those results were not genuine results. But actually, the governor won everywhere. So I think INEC did well. Did well in terms of security. There was no oppression in anywhere, not like other years election in Bayelsa where you see people putting on military uniforms, oppressing people, coming with gunboat with uniforms. You don't know who is soldier, you don't know who is not a soldier. So, but this time, I think opposition parties, everybody were peaceful. Everybody went to vote without being threatened and all the rest. There was not too much panic during the election compared to other years. So I think the presidency will give kudos to the presidency for ensuring that there was a free and fair election. We know no election is totally free and fair, but at least 80% Bayelsa election was peaceful so far.
That's a nice summary of Bayelsa election. What about Kogi and Imo states? How would you describe the elections in those states?
Before the election, we already know what was going to play in those states. Those states were already facing a very serious insecurity issues before the election, and we all knew most of those insecurity issues were because of the election. They made sure that the state was ungovernable for the oppositions to exercise their rights. So we were not expecting anything more or anything less from those states. And you can see since the president did not actually involve himself in trying to use security to oppress people or the INEC, the governors in those states use their power to do what they think they want. And so far, I believe the people of those states might not be happy. Like Kogi, I believe the SDP candidate was supposed to be the winner. From all indication, it shows that he was more loved and the people wanted him. But the outgoing governor, we already knew he was not going to allow such things to happen. But if we want to be fair, I think the SDP candidate was supposed to be the winner of Kogi State. In Imo State, we knew the governor was going to come back because the people contesting with him, people don't really know them that much. They were not really giving him that much headache. Even if we know you will not allow people to exercise their rights, but we were expecting him to come back. It's very difficult for a sitting governor to lose a state in Nigeria. So, except the governor has done very poor, and the people are so ready to take him out of the office before you see such things at play. So, we were not expecting anything new in Imo State, but at least in Kogi, I believe the nation were expecting something new in Kogi because the outgoing governor, sometimes these young governors, they surprise us. We agitate for younger people to take over power. And sometimes when we get young people like this in office, we find out that some of them now do poorer than even the old people. So sometimes it's disappointing. But anyhow, the election has gone. Maybe the court will decide the next fate of those people.
You can see how I'm just smiling and shaking my head because you would have done it better than what I expect. Your analysis for me, I would say they are very fair, despite the fact that you belong to a political party and I know your stand, but you've been, I would say, objective so far in your analysis. So let's take the bar more higher. Let's go to River State. The political drama happening in River State. We've
Ah,
talked about all these things several times, and when they happen like this, they're not really new to us. But the
it's
fight in River State between the governor and the past governor, did it come too early to you?
Yes, we earlier before the election, we spoke about all these things. We were expecting this, but not so early. We expected that with time the both people would fall out, but it was a shock to everybody in Nigeria. I believe the general people were expecting this, but not so early as it happened. So the only surprise was it was so soon. So we could not even point out what was actually their issues. Even as we speak now, there is nobody that can come out to say this is the problem between the outgoing governor, which is the present minister, and the present governor. Nobody has been able to come out to say this is what is the issue. The former governor, I've watched several of his interviews. He has not been able to point out the issues with him and the governor. The only thing he will say is the OB people and the Atiku people are the ones instigating the governor. He will say some people said he wants to take some allocation. He has not been able to say this is the issue. Or sometimes he will say nobody can take away my structure. You understand? So when you listen to the governor himself, he's saying, I'm a peaceful man, I'm a peaceful man. I will fight for my state, I will fight for my state, I will not allow. But he has not been able to say this is the problem of the former governor, and this is my own problem. So I think there is a lot in that issue, but so far a lot of people feel the sitting governor cannot withstand the outgoing governor, and that is where I'm always trying to correct people. There is nobody that can fight a sitting governor in a state. If a sitting governor wants peace, it means he wants peace. It does not mean it does not show that there is no power for him to exercise. A sitting governor can make anybody in the state uncomfortable if he wants to. So people feel because he's a new person in office, he does not have power or he does not understand politics or something. No, It's not about coming into power newly. A sitting governor has everything to fight anybody, just like a sitting president. A sitting president can fight anybody. It's just like saying at Tinubu cannot fight Buhari. It sounds funny. That is if the person does not know the power he controls. You understand? A sitting governor is the number one citizen of the state. He can revoke anything that is aligned with the law. He can even see some properties and make you leave the state. You understand? So, but people just feel because it's politics, I'm loyal to Mr. A, so for that, Mr. A is stronger than Mr. B. No, there is only one governor at a time in a state. You can only have one governor at a time. If the governor does not want issue, it does not mean he's a fool, does not mean he does not have power, or does not mean he does not understand politics. Because there are 101 persons ready to give the governor all the information he needs, all the backup he needs. It's just for him to open himself to them. And you see, you'll be surprised, even the most closest people to the other person that you think are loyal to him. You'll be amazed when they will say, when he was there, did not even benefit anything. No. Now this one is there, let me take advantage. So you can never write out a sitting governor when it comes to power, especially in South. Look at the situation of Akpabio and Emmanuel Udom. It was not easy for Akpabio. Akpabio has to even show a senatorial seat and went back to Abuja to be a minister before he came back to be a Senate president. The same thing happened to Adam Oshomole. He even failed election. Even they have to even remove him as a party chairman before they have to compensate him after him how many years now he's back. So it's not easy for you to fight a sitting governor, except the governor is not ready to fight you. That is my stand in that issue.
Wow. Except the governor is not ready to fight you, even if he doesn't even know the power that he wields, he is going to, because there are 101 persons that are ready to provide all the information that he needs and everything. That's very insightful. So let's still go on. So, but the president has been able to broker peace between both camps. Some people say maybe it's because the governor still has Supreme Court case, so he's going to lie low. But after the Supreme Court judgment, then we may see the governor come all out to make a stand. Do you share that view too?
Those that peace are called whatever. If you watch very closely, you will know that they are just acting the same. They are just acting. The governor is not saying much. This side is not saying much. Yet nothing is happening. The other faction of the assembly, they've come out to say, okay, we have dropped all our charges against you. Yet the governor's side have not come to say, okay, we have also let go. We are not taking the speakership again. We have given it back to them. We have not seen a situation where the general house have come together to say, okay, now we are all back to one house. So I think there's a lot of things playing. Before Christmas, I saw a serious protest in Rivers State, even to the point of the government house, where the youth were demanding that the governor must not stand on those people accord, that he was not voted by Tinubu, he was voted by the people of Rivers State. So the people of Rivers State has rights to decide what they want, not anybody from Abuja. So just as you said, maybe the governor might just decide to be calm because of some court cases and all the rest. Let's see how it plays. But I know that issue will not end till 2027. 2026, that is when you see the real political play in that state. So for now, I believe, because the president cannot say you are calling for a peace. You already know what is causing the problem. 20-something persons have left to your party and they have been suspended. You are asking them to forgive them, but you did not ask them to return back to their party. It means the president is not fair. So I believe no reasonable governor will accept such deal, because that is a deal that will hurt you in few months after your agreement.
Imagine allowing 26 persons or 27 persons that left you to be in an opposition, that you're making peace with them. Then you now surrender your authority to them. Then you have to go and represent your budget for the year.
You have to go and represent your budget. I think, and we are still expecting until the governor does that. We still believe.
Okay, there is this cycle of trying to meet the budget cycle of December to January to December. So now that the governor has not represented it, how does it affect Rivers State in this? Because almost every governor that you see on the news is signing their own budget for the year.
I think the governor signed
He already
the
signed it 24 hours.
less than 24 hours when he
So he's going
presented
to
the
remove his
project.
signature and sign double time.
It has been put to law.
Hmm.
So it has been put to law. I don't think the governor will reduce himself to that level to bring back a budget to come and present and go back
Even
and
the
sign again.
even the holy books says the king does not go back on his word.
Yes, so I don't think it will be possible.
Okay, that's very nice. I've been speaking with Mr. President Ferry Goboa all the way from Bayelsa State. He joined me via Zoom, and we've been looking at issues around 2023. We've talked about the general elections, talked about the outcome, we talked about Rivers State, we talked about Bayelsa and the all-season election across the three states. Now let's go to 2023 as it's rounding up in few hours, in less than, I don't know, 10 hours or 7 hours. 2023 will be off. All over the world, Christians around the world will gather for different vigil to look at. And this is one thing you always say about the coming year and all the rest of them. Does the new year actually bring anything?
The new year does not bring anything to anybody. You know, religion has really affected a lot of us from childhood. This is what we believed when we were growing up. We always think, 2021 don't pass now. Nothing will happen again for my life now, 2022. So everybody put their hope in 2022, thinking 2022 is the year that gives birth to something. But unfortunately, now we are mature, we come to understand that the only new thing a new year brings to you is the budget that the governors are signing and the programs that they want to do in that year. So it's either those projects or those budgets favor you or not. You understand? So it is left for you as a person to invest. You cannot continue to do what you are doing in 2023 and expect new results in 2024. If you want to see anything in 2024, then you must do new things. Whatever you are doing in 2023, if you continue like that in 2024, you will get the same result. You will get the same result. There is no new thing that any year is bringing to anybody. It is your ideas, your efforts, your wisdom that will produce new things. God does not have January to December in heaven. As we speak, Ethiopia is not even close to 2020. Ethiopia is still very far from, their calendar is still very far from 2020. They are still as far as 2015, thereabout. They are not even close to 2027. I mean, they are not close to 20 to whatever. They are still very far. They are still in 2015. China are not doing the same Happy New Year
Even
tonight.
Japan.
You understand? So those are just human calendars that every country, every state works with. It's not a calendar that God has programmed. That's why every pastor have their theme of the year. If it's what God wants, everybody will just have a theme of the year that almost every word, every nation will use. But even in one city, more than 200 pastors with 200 different visions for the year. So that is their own church calendar. And they will tell you, in that church, they say their own is prosperity. Our own, God has said, is the year of blessing. That is their calendar for the year, their year of blessing. So it's so obvious that a lot of people don't understand that January to December, first, whatever, is the calendar of individuals, not God. So as a person, you can create your own calendar from January, what you want to do, what you think you need, and how you wish to achieve them. That is your calendar. That is the only thing that can change your life, not the year itself, but what you program for yourself and how you wish to achieve them. That is the only new thing that the year can give to you. But anything outside that, we are just being pretending. Like some people will go to church today, they have not gone to church since January. Today they will go to church and they will tell you that I've changed my life. After the next Sunday, you see them in church. Or after the next Sunday, church don't end. Till another 31st night, it becomes a system where people feel, oh, this night, oh, God has something for me. So it's a special night where God is moving us. Oh God, thank you. We overcome, we overcame, we've crossed over. No, God is not bothered about those things. It's just the human calendar that we are celebrating. It's not God's calendar. So
Wow.
that's my view about that.
It's just humans' calendar, how to plan their life. And just like you said, if someone does not have his own plans, just like a lot of people have New Year resolution that this in 2024, this is what I'm going to do. This because you're actually checking your progress. You want to know if you're moving forward or you're not even, you're just stagnant. So you set up calendar, like you said, in one city, over 1,000 churches, different pastors, different theme for the year. And a lot of people don't know that these people are actually telling you their vision for their ministry, for their church, for the year, how they want to work with God,
Just like
or
the governors, the only
have
new thing
different
they have for
budget.
the
Imagine Bayelsa passing 400 billion, somewhere in Adamawa 100 and something billion. And you look the range, Lagos, almost 1 trillion naira and all those stuff. These people are not equal. So it has to do with the level of information and knowledge or resources you have and how
it's
you
true.
intend to improve on what you have. Until people come to understand these things, oh, this is my year of this, is my year of that. So you pray from things that you're supposed to do, you're praying for God to do them. Things you're supposed to pray, you want God to come and do them for you. So people have actually lost it. They don't know when to pray and when to do things. They tell you prayer
It's
is the
true.
key. I tell people that even if you have a key, you need to walk to the door to use the key. The
Prayer
key
without
does
work
not
is
open
dead.
the door by itself. You have to
It's true.
use it. So I
Perfectly.
just, by the way, I've been speaking with Mr. Prescott Frederick Oboa all the way from Bayelsa State. We looked at retrospect of political issues across Nigeria. But before I let you go, what are your views for 2024 policies of government? You saw the budget in Bayelsa, in Nigeria, all the rest of them. Even this morning, we woke up to hear that the House of Assembly, the National House of Assembly has increased the presidential budget by 1 point something trillion on top of the initial one the president. So looking generally, those budget that we're seeing, do we see anything special coming out of them, or is still the same old things that is going on?
Uh, Honestly speaking, 2023 was a very challenging year for the nation. So, having new governors, new president, new everything, new ministers, new National Assembly, new State Assembly, people will be expecting a lot from their leaders in 2024.
Yeah.
A lot, a lot, a lot. The poverty rate in the country is beyond imagination.
Hmm.
Presently now, it's just like if you are not into fraud, you cannot make it. The people that are living the most comfortable life in the nation are fraudsters. So people are expecting so much from their leaders and from the nation at large. I believe whatever budget any governor has brought is for the betterment of their people. Infrastructures and education is a very key thing in every nation and every state. I believe beyond just education, every government, every leader, every stakeholder that controls resources of a people should start thinking of building human capacity. And all this unnecessary skill acquisition that people do, leaders do, governors do, and all these things, you cannot continue to do skill acquisition without empowering the people. If you give people skills, they need the resources to stand on their own. If we can train people on how to do things, we should also be able to give them the equipment they need to stand. Until we start empowering people beyond just lecturing them, we'll continue to have the same results. Governors will train 10,000 youths. At the end of the day, the 10,000 youths are still in the streets. Fine. They said knowledge is power. But if you train 10,000, out of the 10,000, only maybe 500 might have one or two persons that can support them financially for them to stand. What happens to the remaining 9,500 persons? So I think beyond teaching people things, people need finances to execute those things that they've come to learn. It's just like training people on ICT. how to operate computer. After the lecture, you give them just laptop. Me and you, we know that at the present Nigeria today, having just laptop cannot give you money, except you want to go into internet fraud. You need a generator, you need a store, you need a printer. The governors should start thinking of those things. If you want to train 10,000 persons, reduce it to 500 and give them the equipment that they can use to stand for themselves. That is the only way we can reduce the level of poverty and joblessness in the society. And I hope 2024, our governors and our president, our leaders can begin to think outside the box. People need to survive outside the civil service and the political terrain. People need to survive by their private business. When Goodluck was president, you saw how even comedians were living large. Today, everybody is going to skate. Everybody want to do short video because they feel that is where they can get something now for themselves. So the government need to promote beyond infrastructure and education, entertainment, private firms, the rest.
I think you have said it all, and this is where we're going to be running it up. I've been speaking with Mr. Praise God Frederick Obua, all the way from Bayelsa State. He's an SA new media to the governor of Bayelsa State. Mr. Praise God, thank you for joining us. You've been always available for City Reports.
Thank you very much. We appreciate.
Yeah, you spoke very well, and I'm sure those in position of authority will listen and implement most of the things you said. I'm very emotional when you talk about empowering young people and not just training 10,000, to reduce it to 500 and empower them so they can in turn empower other people. And training on 10,000 people and nobody is empowering anybody, you are back to square one. Thank you very much. My name is Priya Frederick, and this is where we call it for the year 2023. See you in 2024, everyone. Bye-bye. Happy New Year in advance. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
To make a pronouncement. So everybody will have to be careful. You give somebody an umbrella, the next day he defects. EFCC will come. He said, no, let me join them. So EFCC will not be against. You carry the vote of another party and you join another party. Can you transfer vote? You work hard for somebody to win the election. Tomorrow the person say, no, I have defect. If you are defecting, leave the seat. If you know it is easy.
Enjoy your weekend.
Thank you.